And how many people know people that work graveyard shifts or work graveyard shifts? It's really terrible. As an ER doc, I've worked my share of graveyard shifts, night shifts, and let me tell you, it is horrible. And if you've ever met someone who works the graveyard shift and they do that for years, these people they age prematurely. Now, why is that? Well, they never become anabolic at night. They're actually catabolic at night, and they never rebuild and repair. They will actually age prematurely. It's not a good thing to do. You want to time what you do with natural rhythms to help your body be in sync with things. Feeling better overall. Better health, better longevity, less damage to your body, less damage to your joints. Will it make you stronger necessarily? Perhaps. You could actually improve your strength more by not overtraining. Overtraining is so bad that if you don't overtrain, you're actually achieving better results because you're just not injuring yourself. I think that's really what I meant by that. It was also the hook to get you guys in here. Yes, well, you could lose weight better because you're activating certain pathways with the sprint interval training, for example, and with heavy duty, with the intensity of the weightlifting, you'll burn fat right away as opposed to burning glycogen. Yeah, you'll lose weight, you'll boost your metabolic rate, so it'll actually help you lose weight much better than this endurance type training. Look at the people when you go to the gym, whether it's here or somewhere else. Look at the people that are habitually on the treadmill. Look at them. Maybe they're skinny or fat, but most of them don't really have very good physiques. Look at the people that are lifting weights. Those people actually are more muscular. They may or may not be leaner, but they certainly have better bodies, more attractive-looking bodies in general. It's this notion that we're going to go on a treadmill for 30 minutes a day or 45 minutes a day, the scientific literature doesn't really show that it's that helpful. I hope that I've made my point by showing you the scientific literature. Is it better than nothing? It's probably better than nothing, but why spend 5 hours a week doing something that's a little better than nothing when you can spend half that time or less than half that time and get a lot better than that? $140, $150? And while you're running 180, 200, it's going to be pretty high. I guess it's as fast as it's going to go. I can tell you personally, when I do my grizzly bears, after the first round, it's usually about 130. Second round, 135, 140. Third round, 135, 140. And then right after that, it's 150, 160, and I know that I'm going to have to stop. I don't even usually check my pulse. I did it a few times, and then I realized I can tell. I know I don't need to really check it. Okay, manual labor is really not good for you. And I see people in the ER all the time that are construction workers and manual laborers. These people have all sorts of, at least the ones that see me, premature aging, muscle pain, joint pain, a lot of addictions. It's hard work, and it's certainly not good for you. What would I recommend? I would recommend that you rest a lot, that you get plenty of sleep, that your diet is pristine. You may benefit from certain antioxidants, but unfortunately, a lot of these people that do that type of work, they do the exact opposite. They're eating fast foods all the time. They smoke, they drink, it's not a pretty thing, but yeah, it's not good for you to do that. Yes, sir?
Which one is better for losing weight, the sprint interval training or the weights?
Actually, that's a very good question, and I'm going to answer it by saying it's the combination, because muscle burns fat. The more muscle you get moving during your sprint, the more fat you'll burn, and if you lift weights and build that muscle up and then sprint, you'll accelerate the process. So you really want to do both. You want to build as much muscle as you can, unless you want to be Mr. Olympia, but it's really important to have muscle. It's such an important thing to have. It's a bank account of amino acids. It's protein that we're storing. We cannot store protein anywhere in our body except in our muscle, and we need protein for so many things. We can store fat very easily, okay, but we need protein stores. If you ever seen anybody who got sick and all of a sudden they were in bed for a week and their arms are really skinny, it's because when you're sick, you need all that protein to fight off that illness or whatever, and you start to cannibalize yourself. Once you've lost all your muscles there, then you're going to start to cannibalize your organs, which is what you don't want to do. So you want to have it's like a bank account.
And that improves your insulin sensitivity?
Yes. Increases your basal metabolic rate, allows you to function better because you can do things if you're stronger. One of these signs of aging is actually loss of muscle mass. So it's very important. Weightlifting is really, really important. The other thing is when it comes to bone health and osteoporosis, your bones respond to strenuous exercise. High intensity, either sprint type exercise or weightlifting will build bone. Walking will not build your bone at all. It doesn't help. And working out in a pool, for example, does not build your bones at all. It's like being on the moon. You will lose bone mass. Bones are living tissues, and they respond to stress. The more you stress the bone, the thicker and stronger it'll get. That's why thin, frail people tend to have very thin and frail bones. I would say that, personally, I would do the weightlifting first, because once you've done that sprint interval training, you don't want to do anything else. Started off by saying that when I mentioned sprint intervals, it doesn't mean you have to run. You can do other things. How about on a stationary exercise bike? Imagine you're being run down. It's very safe to do that. Or if you have bad knees, you can do a rowing type or with your arms. But yeah, you want to do something that's going to bring your heart rate up to its maximum and reach that point very, very quickly. But yeah, do not run or sprint if you're unstable on your feet, because you can fall down and hurt yourself. It can be very dangerous. The last thing you want to do when you exercise is hurt yourself, right? Because that's counterproductive. That's the point of exercise, is you want to be healthy. I would recommend if you're someone who has trouble and you can't run, then you want to certainly include resistance training in your workout. Extremely important. I think that's going to depend on you. I mean, I personally, I don't like to spend more than 30 minutes working out because I don't have much time. But I think if you're spending more than, say, 40 to 45 minutes, you're probably spending too much time, because how many sets can you do? Right. Right. Now you can be creative. For example, you look at your bicep. Well, bicep means there's two heads. You can do biceps like this and biceps like that. And I actually do two sets. I'll do one set like this to get the outer bicep, and one set like this to do the inner bicep. So the triceps has three heads. There can maybe 3 or 4 tricep exercises that you would work on. Shoulders have a gazillion different motions. You can do anterior, lateral, posterior, internal rotation, external rotation. So you could do several sets of your shoulders, and then you just keep going. Now, you really need to know what you're doing with that. You can do a lot of sets. I usually do about 15 or 20 sets in that half an hour. It's pretty intense.
So should you go from one to the other to get rest?
Yeah, I mean, I think that depends on how fit you are. I like to alternate. I'll do like a set. I'll do a workout, for example. I'll do a set for my chest, and then I'll do a set for my back. So my chest is resting when I'm doing my back, and then back and forth, and I don't take any breaks in between the sets. I try not to just go from one to the other.
But you can take a break.
Sure, if you need to.
Because there are people that recommend just go from one to the other to get that.
Well, then it gets more into like the sprinting interval training, and you can actually sort of do both, and that may be more beneficial for weight loss that way.